Hey guys, we meet again. On this occasion I will try to summarize the film entitled The Revenant 2015. So, check this out.
This film will focus on our main character named Hugh Glass, and his son, Hawk, who was born to a mother descended from the Pawn tribe, a kind of inland tribe in the United States. In 1823, Hugh Glass, who is someone who is familiar with hunting areas in the forest, guides Andrew Henry's party through the disorganized area. Andrew himself is a leader of the game hunters who take the pelts to be sold in the city.
Yeah. You seen Kohler?
While Hugh and his son were hunting, it turned out that the camp was attacked by a group of Arikara tribes, which forced them to run to the ship and leave behind most of the pelts they hunted. Guided by Hugh, the remaining survivors of the crew crossed the river and then traveled on foot to Port Kiowa, as traveling downstream would make them vulnerable to attack. The crew ditched the boats and hid the pelts they had hunted on the bank of the river. There was a bit of a dispute where John, one of Andrew's men, vented his emotions on Hugh and his son because of the death of his comrades earlier.
My place is right here on the smart end of this rifle.
We gotta stash these pelts and get rid of the boat. Let's go!
They continued the journey to Port Kiowa. When Hugh looked around and tried to hunt wild animals there, unexpectedly Hugh was attacked by a grizzly bear and almost died.
Hey! He's out here!
On the other hand, the chief of the Arikara tribe,
The pelts he had plundered for horses and rifles, which turned out to be the daughter of the chieftain, was stymied by the hunters. In the early morning, Andrew's group continued the journey. Hugh was so badly injured that he was unable to walk and had to be stretchered off by the crew. John, fearful of attacks from the other Arikara tribesmen, thinks they should kill Hugh to ease his suffering and let him go. Andrew agreed, but he didn't want to pull the trigger. Instead, he gave money to whoever would stay and care for Hugh until he died or recovered. When the only volunteers are Jim and his son Hawk, John, who dislikes Hugh from the start, agrees to stay with him and accept his money to make up for his loss of the fur pelts he has left behind. Andrew also reminded John to take care of him as long as he lived and properly bury him when he died.
Glass is to be cared for until. Understood?
Understand.
Proper burial when it's time. He's earned it.
After the other group left, finally there was only John, Jim and Hugh who was dying. Hawk, his son, was in the river to catch fish. John, who had a trauma to the Arikara tribe which caused a wound on his head, turned out to be very scared if he stayed there too long. And a crazy idea arose. John approached Hugh and said that with Hugh's current state it would seriously endanger the safety of Jim and Hawk. So he offered to kill her quickly so that everything would be over so they could get out of there. Hugh, who couldn't speak, was asked to blink his eyes in agreement, because there was no other choice. And for the safety of his child he also blinked his eyes.
Creator.
But suddenly Hawk came and immediately pointed his gun at John. Unexpectedly, John managed to paralyze Hawk and stabbed him to death. As a father, of course Hugh was sad and angry to see that, but he couldn't do anything about it. When Jim shows up, John says that he saw an Arikara tribe nearby and that it's possible that Hawk has been killed. John then told Jim to pack up and leave immediately. Jim could only apologize to Hugh and then leave. After they left to catch up with Andrew's group, on the way John admitted that he lied. Jim had pointed his gun at John, but because John had saved him twice, Jim couldn't do anything about it.
Your ass would still be floating around in Missouri right now if it wasn't for me.
On the other hand, Hugh was still holding out and trying to move to approach his son's corpse. Not wanting to be sad, Hugh tried to survive by eating deer carcasses and crawling into the river to find drinking water. At the same time, the Arikara tribe was getting closer to Hugh's location. And the fact that this Arikara tribe is not after Hugh or Andrew's entourage and friends, but they are looking for their chief's daughter who was kidnapped by French hunters. So that between all this there is a misunderstanding. While on the other hand, John and Jim tried to catch up with Andrew's group towards Port Kiowa. When John and Jim meet Andrew at Port Kiowa, John tells Andrew that Hugh is dead and Hawk is missing. Andrew also gave the promised reward.
Thank you.
On the other hand, Hugh begins a arduous journey through the wilderness. He performs operations on his own and evades an Arikara tribe that is chasing the kidnapped daughter of its chief. Until Hugh had to throw himself into the river to escape their pursuit. On the way, Hugh unexpectedly met one of the Pawn refugees who was sitting by the fireplace eating raw bison meat. Hugh crawled and approached him, then the Pawn tribe gave him the bison's liver. Then Hugh was with gusto directly eat it. Hugh and the Pawns eat and drink and travel together. After hearing and seeing Hugh's injuries from a grizzly bear attack, the Pawnee tribe intends to treat Hugh's injuries. Because if not treated immediately, the wound will fester even more. The Pawnee tribe also use twigs and tree branches to warm Hugh, also with heated stones to create warm steam, so that the wound would dry quickly and heal. After the wound was dry and recovered, Hugh also looked for the Pawnee tribe. And how surprised Hugh was when he found the Pawnee tribe already hanging from a tree. And the fact that the Pawnee tribe was hanged by French hunters, who apparently also kidnapped the daughter of the Arikara chief named Powaka. Feeling recovered, Hugh infiltrated their camp and saw the leader of the French hunters raping Powaka. Hugh secretly put a gun to the head of the leader of the hunters and ordered Powaka to take the knife and whatever the man would do, but Powaka had time to say that he would cut off the head hunter's genitals. Hugh took the horse and left from there. The bottle left by his son accidentally fell. Hugh, who was on the run, had to meet a group of Arikara tribes. Until there was a chase between them, but Hugh's horse, who was running fast, was quickly able to escape, but unfortunately he fell into a ravine and landed on a tree and then fell to the ground. Hugh, who was still safe, tried to survive the cold snow by splitting his stomach. The dead horse took out its internal organs and then entered its stomach and warmed itself there. On the other hand, a French hunter who had survived Hugh's raid stumbled into Port Kiowa to exchange goods for protection and food. Jim, who saw the drink bottle, finally recognized that the drink bottle belonged to Hawk. Believing the bottle to be stolen, Andrew organizes a search for Hugh into the woods. John, realizing that Hugh is still alive, empties the security safe and flees.
Saddle. Torches and supplies, $10 a man.
The search was carried out towards the forest by dividing into two groups. where Andrew himself led and followed by Jim managed to find Hugh's whereabouts in a thin and apprehensive condition. So they immediately took Hugh to Port Kiowa. Andrew rushed back to Port Kiowa to arrest John, and sure enough John had left by looting the safe. Andrew, who was angry, immediately beat Jim and ordered his subordinates to put him in prison.
Take him to the cave! We'll hang alongside him! You left him out there!
Hugh insists on following Andrew to find John, because only he really understands the forest. Getting a little trail, Hugh and Andrew were split up looking for John.
Turn right back around and meet me back here. I'm gonna head up to the west, go down to the east.
John, who knew he would be followed, ambushed Andrew, who was separated from Hugh. Andrew also stated his arrival to bring John back to Port Kiowa. But suddenly,
Alright.
Hugh, who heard the gunshots, immediately rushed to the source of the gunshots. And how shocked Hugh was when he saw that Andrew was dead. Hugh also brought Andrew's corpse and his horse. Unexpectedly, John was stalking Hugh from a distance. And suddenly, John's surprise after knowing that what he shot was Andrew's body, which turned out to be Hugh had used him as bait. So, Hugh was chasing John, who ran into the woods. Until the action of their chase was stopped by the river. And the brutal duel action begins.
You killed my boy. That was no deal.
Hugh, who managed to stab John, was about to kill him. But he remembered the words of the Pawnee tribe long ago that revenge belongs to God alone. Sure enough, when Hugh was about to kill John, he saw the Arikara tribe across the river. Then Hugh swept John towards the group of Arikara tribes. John was killed by the Arikara chief in a sadistic way. After killing John, the Arikara tribe only passed Hugh, who it turned out that the woman he saved from the French hunters was the daughter of the Arikara chief. After everything was over, Hugh also met his wife's spirit in the forest, and the summary of the film is the end. Okay guys, thanks for watching this video. See you in the next videos and don't forget to subscribe.